It's quite fascinating to look at, especially the trends, because if you had to look at some of the data that is coming from TIFA, you'll see that President Ruto's support is on a steady rise. So initially in May 2025 it was at 18%. It went down to 16% in August. Then in November, which is a month after the death of Raila Odinga, it went up to 19%. And now, almost 6 months later, it's gone up to 24%. If you look at Kalonzo Musyoka, in November, that's when it went its highest. It was at 25%, growing from 5% the previous period of survey. But now it has dropped to 19%. If you look at Fred Matiang'i, it has been going down consistently from 32% in May 2025 to 21% in August 2025, then 19% in November 2025, and now at 14%. So there's a pattern for Kalonzo Musyoka and Fred Matiang'i. There's also a pattern for William Ruto on the rise. But then, like Jamila says here, for Sifuna, who had not been polled, to for the very first time poll at 10%, that is quite significant. If you had to look at the other person that had been polled, it was Babu Owino. He had grown from 1% to 4% to 8% in November following the death of Raila Odinga. He's now down to 2%. I would presume that this is the effect of Sifuna, because they are seen together under the Linda Mwananchi team, and it is assumed that Sifuna represents the figurehead when it comes to that front. Then, of course, if you have to look at another slide that will tell you something more that is pretty fascinating, it is the growth of the influence of the political party that Rigathi Gachagua leads, which you see showing you some interesting statistics, because at the moment, if you're talking about a political party alignment, then you'll find that we've grown, for ODM it has grown from 13% to 20%, now settling down to 18% as of May 2026. For UDA, it has been almost stagnating from 17% in August 2025 to 18% in November last year, and now at 17%, so almost stagnating. For DCP, though, it has gone from 10% in August last year to 6% in November last year, and now standing at 16%. That's a 10 percentage points gain across 6 months. Then for the Jubilee Party, it's also staying constant from 11% in November last year to 11% now. For Wiper Party, it's also growing consistently from 4% to 6%, now standing at 8%. So this should be telling us something about the embracing of different political parties. But then again, Yvonne, even as we reflect on what the support for President William Ruto is, you'll see that this is the same year, or those 6 months, this is the time that we've seen the president going across the country, launching Nyota projects, if you remember, at the start of the year. This is also the time that there's been a lot of activity within the ODM party. ODM party has met and made some serious decisions that affect its future, its lineup in leadership. They have removed some of the leaders at the top level in leadership, including the former leader, deputy party leader in Godfrey Osotsi. There's an attempt to discipline Edwin Sifuna. Then you find there has been sustained campaigns across, whether it's in government or the other political parties in the opposition. And finally, you will see that reality is starting to bite, because people are starting to realize, well, we're now facing an election next year, but what is the reality about life? Like some of the things that we're talking about right now, about the cost of living, about fuel and everything else, it is coming to a situation that you find even the poll itself is trying to measure, is there a single political party that really represents the interest of Kenya? And you can say that there's no simple, there's no majority when it comes to 50% plus more that would say that they actually believe that a political party represents the interest of the country.